Welcome everyone to Wild Magic Harmony, episode 4. Today we're talking about positive attitude, prayer, and community. So welcome, thank you for circling up with us. And as always, we're going to call in the circle first, but you'll see we have some special guests if you're on the video, and we will announce them a little later. So welcome to the circle, everyone.
Thank you.
So yes, so settling in now into our chairs or wherever you're seated, noticing the earth beneath you, wherever you're making contact, maybe pressing in with one foot then the other, and maybe beginning to deepen the breath as we come into our bodies, coming into this present moment, letting go of all that came before now. Joining in our virtual circle over time and space, doesn't matter when you're joining us, you're here with us in circle and in community, blessed community. And here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into the fall season. So just feeling into that transition of energy. Perhaps you felt the cooling breeze of autumn beginning to move over your skin. Perhaps you've been hearing the geese honking at each other, getting ready for their flights south. Or hearing the crickets rising to a fever pitch as they sing their final songs of summer. Wherever you are, honoring that energy and feeling that in your own body, the shifting into the darker seasons, the gradual turn inward to come into ourselves. And then we can repeat the cycle over and over. So welcoming now all of our spirit guides, our healing masters, all of the divine feminine, welcoming in goddess, welcoming in the feminine receptive qualities, feeling that in your body. Where does she reside? Wherever that is, perhaps placing a hand there, perhaps over the heart, over the belly, over the womb, and really greeting her with love and respect and gratitude. And knowing that as you're doing this, we are joining you in this connection, all connected through the one. And then I'd also like to welcome in some air. So I have bubbles here. I know you can't see that if you're not in the video, but I'm welcoming in air with some beautiful bubbles brought in from Deb's birthday party recently. So bringing in air, bringing in fire now as I light my orange candle. Spraying our space with divine feminine spray. And welcoming an earth with a beautiful hand-painted rock. And us always in the center. Welcoming all the elements to support us in our journeys, provide a safe space for us to practice and to come together, all for the highest good. Thank you. And I'd like to just set off our discussion now by a beautiful quote from Dorothy Day from The Long Loneliness. Long Loneliness. We have all known the long loneliness, and we have learned that the only solution is love, and that love comes with community. So hello, Deborah Faye. Welcome to community. And hello to Elia and Bonnie. We'll be joining with you guys in a little bit. So Deborah, let's chat more. You're on mute, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be back. after being absent last month, but we still had some lovely Deborah energy last month, which was great having Deborah Roth. But yeah, when we were talking about a theme for this month, it only kind of seemed natural to touch on that absence a bit because it was a kind of amazing and crazy healing experience that I had, which is why I wasn't here. And we thought that we could maybe do something with that in the podcast. So briefly, won't say too much, except that some of you, I'm sure some of our listeners have seen some of the other posts, but I ended up being diagnosed with a benign brain tumor in July and needed to have some immediate surgery to remedy that. And in the course of that, there are just some miraculous experiences through my own positive attitude and what I would say the power of prayer and also community that all supported the experience of and continued experience that I go through now that we're almost 2 months into the healing journey. And Melissa and I were saying just, how we're both big believers and practitioners of the power of intention and manifesting through that. And also having, yourself, when you go into something like a healing journey like this, where there's big helpings of the unknown that you face and having a sense of feeling not out of control, like, oh, I'm out of control, but we don't have control over a lot of the scenario, like the hands that are in charge of caring for us and the outcomes of these surgical events. These are in the hands of many other people, as well as ourselves to some degree, but how helpful prayer was and this community, 2 or 3 of these smiling faces that we have with us here today are part of my community that I had the great good fortune to lean into and have their support and love and care. And so we thought that this being a podcast that focuses on self-care and soul tending and community kind of made sense to share a little bit more about that and what it can look like. And so many women are seeking community and, the inside story of what one community looks like when something happens to one of its members. So we're going to share about that today and open up conversation to 2 of our members because they did a really special meditation for me when I was going into the surgical suite to have the surgery itself. So we want to talk a little bit about that and how we all came together as a community. And to begin, we thought we might throw out just a little bit about this whole idea of prayer or intention and how it can work good for ourselves and for those that we pray with. And so 15 years ago, a medical doctor by the name of Larry Dawsey, who's an internist, but had one of the pioneers, I guess I would say, especially of trying to bring the scientific and the spiritual together in terms of prayer and the difference that it can make. And so we thought, I just wanted to throw out this to you because I know that he is one that's brought some data to the forefront of that. And one book that you might want to check out, I think it's the first one that he wrote about this, is Healing Words. And a study that he put out, he talks about, not one that he actually performed, but one that he talks about, has to do with a group of women who were having fertility problems, having a difficult time conceiving. And this was a study that was done in Seoul, Korea. And it was actually a triple blind study. And so basically the people didn't know that they were being prayed for, and the people that were praying didn't know who they were praying for. And so he said that with this particular study, when they went back and did the data on it, they found out that those that had been prayed for versus those who hadn't been prayed for were 2 times more successful in being able to conceive than those that didn't have prayer sent to them. And he said there's also been studies done with people that have had heart issues, heart attacks, AIDS. So there is some more documentation in that book for people that would want to check that out and see more about, I guess, the facts and figures of how prayer can help. Intercessory prayer, I think it's called, can help those that you might send prayers to or that you receive prayers from. And I find it really fascinating. Some folks think of it as, I mean, he says in an interview that he had done with Oprah, she said, well, how does it work? Like, how does this whole, and he's like, we don't know, it is still a mystery. We haven't gotten to the point where we know how prayer works. We just know that it does. And these are now the statistics that we can put with it to help, people who are skeptics or who need that kind of piece of the puzzle. He said, this is the time in our history where we actually can do something with that. He also said that now, because of the data that literally, he said when he started doing this, there was like one study. He said there's now, even so, it still sounds like a small number, but it's enough to kind of move scientists in a different direction. He said there's 21 studies out now that he's aware of that show some concrete proof. But he also said that now 90 medical schools are adding this as a component of their studies, is working with prayer. So I thought that was really amazing. And so he's a good resource for you to check out if you want to learn more about the science and the spirituality. And he has many books, but Healing Words was his first one. And so for our listeners or viewers, you might want to check that out if you're interested in learning more. But the other thing I would just say briefly is that when I found out that I was diagnosed with this brain tumor, it was, of course, it was a shock because I had absolutely no physical pain or symptoms at all, except for 2 days before I learned about it, I started to lose my vision. I started to have vision issues. And that's when things very quickly started to speed up because when my general practitioner said, you should go get some imaging. It was then when we got the MRIs that we found out that I had a large brain tumor. But what I wanted to say about that was the difference having a positive attitude has on going through like a completely shocking experience where you're just like, deer in the headlight. This was nowhere on anybody's radar in terms of everything from the hospital we were going to go to picking the surgeon, to preparing to go into the surgery, and then, the pain afterwards and managing that and working with it. I really feel that, and there is, maybe another time we can talk about the mind-body connection and how we know that the difference between frequencies between positive and lower or higher vibrations and what that does to the body. But I just would say that I really do know inside myself that maintaining that frequency, if you will, or that mentality helped me. And I did spend a lot of time meditating and doing meditation practices that just kind of kicked in of their own accord, really, after 30 years of sitting on the cushion. But there were times when I was doing practice for other people, the metta practice, because my practices are really Buddhist, rooted in Buddhism and mindfulness. And there's one practice where you literally send out thoughts to other people, and there's lots of people that are suffering in the hospital, and to do that practice and the gratitude practice and breath practice and a walk, like when I'd go to the bathroom, I'd do a walking meditation where I would pay attention to my heel toe, and all of those things contributed to really what was a pretty miraculous healing process. So I would say to anybody listening today that there's really tangible things that we can do to affect the experience that we have when we have whether it's a life-threatening or a surprise like this, or something, in my case, I could have gone blind if we had waited to perform the surgery any later. And there were lots of risks involved, including stroke and coma and, all kinds of things. But, when you can get yourself connected to something greater and within, it can really dial down, that tendency to want to freak out, and to be able to go through something like this with as much presence and grace as you can. And, luckily in my case, it was benign, and, things are moving along really beautifully. But what I would say also, moving into the next category of community, is I 1,000,000 cajillion % believe in the power of community and people that when you need help, there's people that are there that will step up and that support you and love you and care about you. And especially my women, my posse, as I call you guys. We are there for each other, and we've all come together into this community in different ways, I think. And so maybe now I'll unmute Bonnie and Melissa and unmute everybody.
I did want to add before we jump into the community piece, is that I do believe that energy goes where our intention is. So I think that even in terms of even something like goal setting, and I don't call prayer per se, just because of my own religious background, but I do think it's the same thing.
Yep, thank you.
Intention, sending love and light. So even if you don't call it prayer, I think the idea is the same thing, that we're sending energy in a positive way to a specific situation, or outcome is hard because we don't know what the highest good is for you. And so I think that when I was holding stuff for you, it was always for your highest good, and none of us can really know what that is. So I think that's, for me, an important piece of it as well. But I do believe keeping that positive attitude, and it also, I think, gives people, you feel helpless in that situation. I certainly did. We got the news very quickly, and it was like, oh my God, what do I do? And I think being able to at least send you love and light gave me a feeling of okay, well, that's about all I can do for her right now, but I'm putting all of my energy and love into that. So I just wanted to mention those things.
Thank you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, I guess and if you guys, want to share anything about those topics before we get into community, we can certainly take a couple of minutes with that as well. But these three women are part of my, inner circle, if you will. And we've known each other for any number of years. I couldn't even say how long I've known each of you, but gosh, I'm going to say at least over a decade would be my guess. But, each of you, maybe we can talk about each of you and how we all connected and how you find our community. What's the benefit of being in community? I mean, I think for a lot of women, it's risky to be in community. Women are afraid to be in intimate community. And also, a lot of women, I don't happen to be one of them, but a lot of women find it difficult to ask for help or to be helped, because we have that idea that, we're supposed to be able to be super women and do everything and not ask for help. And that's another aspect of being in community that I think can help challenge that, but also heal it and offer the experience of how wonderful it can be to be helped, to not feel alone or like you have to do everything by yourself. So maybe we can open it up, and whoever would like to begin, please.
Well, I'll say something in response to, this is Bonnie, for those of you who are just listening and not looking. In response to what you just said, Deb, about some people having difficulty asking for help and receiving it. I certainly personally have struggled with that quite a bit. And I'm not going to go into my own, but I've had a lot of health concerns and, ongoing health, things to manage. And I feel like for me, that was one of the biggest lessons that I was presented with in when I was, in my kind of like acute illness time, is that I really did need help. And it was very hard for me to ask for it, and in particular, accept it and receive it. But somebody said something to me, which reminded me of something that I think you, Melissa, said earlier about, how you're actually helping your community by accepting the help, because they're feeling powerless to do anything for you. And that's the one thing they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had a lot of guilt about receiving the help. But one of my friends sat me down one day and said, "You don't understand. You're helping us. This is what you can do for us. Let us help you." But it's a big shift for people. Yeah, especially the people who are used to, doing it all on their own.
And for people that are givers, which,
Yeah.
classically, so many women can relate to that, air quotes, I'm a giver, or women who do for others. Sometimes it's hard to complete that circle and receive, maybe like your friend said, it's something that they know that they can do is to help you, but there is this part about like receiving is the other side of giving,
Right.
and I don't think that's very clear, in our world, which then that makes it imbalanced, right? And kind of, there's something missing then, I think.
Mhm.
And so, like, how did it feel when you let go into receiving?
I felt like I had to just kind of like submit. And it wasn't comfortable for me. It's still not comfortable, but I do feel like it's something that I needed to allow to happen. And I am glad I did. And I'm, forever grateful for the generosity that came my way.
Yeah. I just want to say too, I think that's part of the mystery. Like one of the things, I'll just say briefly is, brain surgery is brain surgery, and it is an expensive proposition. And so we knew we were not going to be able to cover all the costs, even after insurance. And so like another level of that surrendering is like, coming out and asking for help that way, which is another, a hot meal is one form, or someone going shopping for you. But, and it was interesting because, that brings up a whole nother set of things that
Right.
you have to face and look at and come to terms with. And so there's a mystery in that. Like literally, I'll just say briefly, we did a GoFundMe page, and they're like our anonymous donors that have given us like $500, $1,000, and it's like, well, so we don't know who that is, but there's somebody that, is so generously given something to us. And that's like part of that mystery of the giving, is that it's, the idea of like, I tend to be like, well, I have to give what I've been given, or like there's some kind of equitable, or there's like an equation, and it's like that. No, there is not that equation, because I'm never going to know who that is. And that, like, I couldn't do something back for that person if I wanted to, because I'm never going to know who did that for us, but there is this thing that I said to my husband and my son often. I said, this is bigger than us, and we have to just accept that it's bigger than us, and we can't control it. And we need to just open our hearts to the universe, and just, we need to just let this unfold as it's going to unfold, because there are things we can't, like in our little human mind, figure out about this. And, the universe has an abundance to it that we can't comprehend. And like that is an example of that. Like I could not comprehend that, of like, oh my gosh, this person may not have wanted to be named, and we do know them, or it may be someone that saw us on the GoFundMe site and said, this is a story I relate to, and I want to give something to this family, but we will not know. And I have really surrendered to the mystery of all of it, of all of this experience. And I think that, is part of the prayer, intention, spell work, whatever you want to call it, it is this interaction that we can't always know what's going to happen, but we're part of something that's, cosmic, that is divine. And then like community is another thing. Like, there was a time when none of us knew each other, but here we are through some kind of cosmic circumstances together. And like each of us has a part to play, and we're these unique beings that, like, to me, like we are bigger than the sum of our parts even. We're like this collective, and each of us has this unique contribution that we make, but yet there's also that mystery and that divinity that is weaves in and around it, that is also again, that question mark. So what about you, Elia?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
How's everybody doing? Talking about the power in prayers, there is such a strong unity when people get together and they do pray and they declare the same words, the power of the words as well, and the power of the thoughts, not just as you declaring it, there's also a connection, an intellectual or telepathic connection to it, that it links everybody together to this belief, because you're declaring something because you believe is going to happen. So you make it happen. And yes, when we were praying, we were together, we gathered in the meeting for you. Oh my God, yes, you were there. You were in the center. You were covered, and you were in the center, and yes, we were all together as one. So going and talking about what you read before, that people didn't know what they were praying for, but there was somebody that knew, or some other people that knew what they were praying for. So they were in the center. So there's a circle encompassing everybody, bringing everybody together into that focal point. It's been surreal to learn this, what happened to you. No one could believe it. It was like, what? No way.
Yeah.
But we knew, and I knew, we felt, and it was declared that you were healed. And the hands were being guided. Hence the surgeons and the whole team was being guided. For me, this community of women, it's been liberating, empowering. It's an honor to be part of it. I admire all of you, the way that we come in circle and we talk about things. You drop your shield, you drop your facade, and you're you. And it's liberating, it's empowering. And you learn to trust, which is a big, going back to praying, if you want to call it faith, you learn to trust that what you say will be. And I thank you, ladies, for everything I've learned through you.
That's so beautiful, Elia. And I love what you said about trusting in each other and dropping our shields, because I think that's where a lot of the magic can happen for us, because many times as women, we may not feel like our place in the world is seen or heard, or we often are in other roles, mother, wife, whatever, worker, and just to be ourselves and not have to explain ourselves and not have to apologize for ourselves is such a gift, and to have that sacred space together. And I felt it on that call because I was, like Deb said, she just found out, and I literally told you guys that morning, and all of us were like, what the what?
What?
So we scrambled, and we're like, okay, let's make a crystal grid. And Bonnie's like, let's get together at noon. And so thank God for technology. We got on Zoom, and I just felt that sacred container immediately. And I just was able to like finally let my emotions go, because I think I was kind of holding in at that point. But just to be together, and then you brought the honey, and Bonnie read that beautiful Hebrew poem. Like, I want you guys to talk about that, but I just like, that was so, I have the chills now talking about it, and I know Deb felt it as well. So yeah, if you guys want to say more about the experience of it itself.
I just wanted to say just very quickly is that these guys decided that they were going to pray and do a circle at the time that I was slated to go in for the surgery. So that's all I wanted to say. Yeah. So.
Well, also I wanted to just piggyback on when Elia said that she feels honored to be in the circle. I wholeheartedly agree with that. It does feel like that. And people listening may or may not know, but Deb is the person who brought us all together. So, originally we were all kind of like, she was the leader of the circles. And then we all sort of became our own unit. Does that make sense? But I think we all, have, we all honor and respect Deb in a way, because she's the one who brought us together.
Well, yeah, we just kind of started out as a sort of an official circle, right? This, Circle of Power, right? Women's Circle of Power, where it was more of a official thing, right? I mean, it was more like I won't say class, but a overtime offering. And then those sort of shifted, and in the many iterations of things that have happened. And then it just became something that we just did, not as an official thing, as, like a leader and participants, but as started being a community.
A need.
Yeah, it was very organic, and it, it's been, certainly an important aspect of my spiritual development and my healing. I feel that the process of healing is really mysterious. It goes beyond anything that's quantifiable, but I know like this is part of it for sure. So when I heard the news from Melissa, I felt like we needed to get into action like right away. I felt like it was like a time sensitive thing. And so I was just really grateful that everyone was available, like short notice. I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and it was like 2 hours later than when we talked. Like it just happened. Like Elia, you were in Colorado. Like it didn't. The great thing about Zoom is it didn't really matter where anybody was, right?
I was standing outside of a restaurant in the back alleyway. Some guy smoking a cigarette was praying for Deb. It was great.
Yeah, right? Yep. And we just like made do with what we had. Like Elia, you made a little altar with whatever
I had.
You at the Airbnb where you were, and and I brought out a lot of things that I had used in circle with Deb over the years because I was home. So I just had a lot of things. The honey was a big part of it. I have the honey that it says be blessed on it.
Blessed on it. Be blessed.
I just had that in my cabinet.
I didn't have
any. Of course you did. Of course you did.
I had just ran out of honey, and I'm like, anybody has honey? Because I don't have any honey. We need honey in the altars.
Right. And I don't know if you remember this ocean jasper you gave me years ago, Sam Hine. So like, I just tried to bring in all the different things that reminded me of Deb and our time in circle, and then we shared photos of each other's altars. And we talk about prayer, and I know some people have, that word maybe has connotations to it. I think you mentioned that, Melissa. And, it's not like we're, any one particular like denomination or, but
Right.
some of us have, practices outside of what we're doing here, like I'm Jewish. So for me, there's a Jewish healing prayer that's important. And I asked if
Oh, that was just
people
beautiful.
wanted me to share it. And I think it was moving to everyone, even though it might not be like your particular faith or whatever, it's universal to want healing for someone you love. Right. So it was just nice for everybody to kind of bring in their own like personal piece to this. And there was a lot of quiet. There was a lot of us just being quiet together and thinking about Deb.
There's something that you just said, prayer that is universal. So when you said that, it got to me that there are no languages, there are no barriers. So if everybody has the same intention, it doesn't matter what language you speak, it will get through. It will get through.
For sure.
And in that morning, before we got the text through Messenger, brace yourself, ladies. I was awakened by a crow that morning at 6:30 in the morning. And I had not heard any crows where I was in Denver. And it was very loud. I mean, I was asleep and it woke me up. When I heard it, I opened my eyes. And I don't know why, Deborah Faye, but every time I see a crow, you come to mind. So I was like, Deb, what's up? And for a brief moment, I thought about your dad. But then it was like, Deb, what's up? And I let it go until the text came in. I was like, wow, we need to get together. Yes, we have to get together. And I pulled before, when I read that, yes, when I knew that we were going to get together at noontime, Denver is 2 hours behind Eastern time. So I had the runes with me. I didn't have my book with me, but I had the runes with me, my runes. And I asked the runes, what was these other runes? A message for you and this brain surgery. And the rune Degas was the one that came out. And it's been with you, like you mentioned on your birthday.
Yeah, it had. It followed me.
Yeah, and you had no idea I had pulled that rune. I mean, it had come out on that day. Yeah.
And I would say that when I went into the surgical suite and they were preparing me, which is quite a jarring experience for anybody who has had surgery knows what I'm talking about, but just the brightness, it's just incredibly bright, and the big lights, just like, I mean, any of the shows you see on TV, it really is like that. And the stainless steel walls, and there's this dance that they do, which your consciousness is in so many places at one time. Like, I'm aware of all that they're doing and the language that they speak, and they're moving in sort of this they have this thing they do, where they're preparing, and okay, if you got this, all right, on the count of 3, and they're moving me, and and so there's all of that, because I'm ridiculously curious about everything. So I'm like curious about all of the doctors speak and what they're doing, but it's like, but this is happening to me also. It's not like I'm a fly on the wall. This is like my body. This is going to happen to me. There's going to be someone that's like messing in my brain in about 10 minutes, and oh my God, what? And the mask goes over my face, and it's like, okay, take a few deep breaths. And in and around all of that, I felt you guys. I felt like these filaments of white is all I can. It's almost just like being wrapped in this, and I still get chills when I say it. it was so tangible, but I had no fear, no worry, because I had surrendered to the place where it's like, again, this is bigger than me. Whatever's going to happen now, this is bigger than me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see when I get up. I don't know. Like, please, I don't want to be in a coma or have something like that happen. But it's like, you have to just like lay it all down. It's like, whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't know, And there's something really liberating. You use that word, Elia, but liberating about letting it all go, letting the worry go, letting the concern for the outcome. It's like, here I am. This is, these are my people right now. These are the people that are in charge of my life. So, hopefully we chose well, and hopefully it's going to go in the direction that, I don't want this to be my last experience. But, you even get to the point where it's like, well, if it is, then, that is what it is. You cannot fight it. But I could feel I could literally feel it. Yeah. It was like it just wound itself around me, and I do say that's part of why I didn't have any fear or worry about this. And when I was done, no fear, no worry. I was like, I woke up and wasn't feeling good. My heart was like beating out of my chest, and in the recovery room, it was that was the only time I was scared, because I was physically like, what the heck is this? And had this crazy, terrible, of course, headache. But the nurse was right there, and she said, nope, that's perfectly normal. This is what it feels like when you come out. Don't worry, it's okay. It's going to pass. And like, even though it didn't feel good, it was still like, okay, I'm on a spectrum of whatever, post brain surgery normal is like. But it was so tangible, the feeling of you guys and, spirit and everybody there, that it was such a comfort, like a massive comfort. It just, to literally see the white all around me was not the white of the walls and the sterility, but the spiritual light, was incredible. And you guys afterwards, that's the other part of community that is, I keep saying it takes a village, but it's like all the things you just literally can't do that you are used to doing. Like when you're in the hospital, it's like, no, you can't get up and go to the bathroom. You can't, you can hit a button, but you can't do much of anything, and it's like this constant surrender into this is this moment. This is what this moment is. And this is all this moment is, because as soon as, like, for me, I get into the danger zone when I start to separate and think about what comes beyond this moment. That's not a good place for me to be. Like, well, what if, or when, or, those are like not good questions to ask when you're in a hospital bed, and you got to focus on the here and now, and on, what you do have control over, what practice is helpful right now, because so much of it is just, so much of how you will fare is between literally your ears, like how you are with the situation. But then when I got home, I mean, you guys and this extended community of people constantly showering us with help, I mean, I couldn't even mention all the things, like just coming and bringing a hot meal. Like, you guys, set up a website so people could bring us food, and, people, so they could schedule a day and come by. And in the beginning, I there was nothing I could do except sleep and eat. I mean, I couldn't function. It was such an output of energy to try to communicate with somebody. Like, Steve had to handle all the texts and stuff. It's like, I can't do it. I can't even think about words to type into something. I can't think about, like, engaging with someone. And then, just meals and flowers and cards and gifts, and, just people reaching out and just saying, thanking of you, like all of these things are like part of that greater community that we're a part of. But there were, probably about 24 women, that kept us going through all of this and are still with us, and I totally had faith in that, in its power, and in the love that I have for you guys, and that all the things that we shared have contributed to kind of this force that we are, this force that we are. Because I like to think that any of us know that we would all be that for each other if there was a time where that was needed, where it's just like, pff, it's not even a thought. It's just like, what do you need? This is, and sometimes it's kind of like, I'm one of those people that asks forgiveness, not permission. So it's like, I'm doing this, I'm going to be bringing over meals, whether you want them or not, freeze them. I don't care this is what we have to do, because sometimes, again, people don't want to ask, but it's like, it sure is nice when you have that thing. And someone understands that, whether it's whatever it is, someone going to the store for you, or, and then, it's like there's this healing experience that deepens us even more that we didn't have before this, that we always are going to have, and then that continues on into the chapters of our lives, because it is I think of it as a pivotal thing. A healing journey is a pivotal thing. I know it is in terms of, my own life and direction, and, sort of I call it the brain tumor blessing, and post the brain tumor blessing, there's like a very different life, so many healings happen as a result of this,
Yes.
that you can't foretell. I know in my own family, these things have happened, so think of the ripple effect of what one person's experience can do for other people too, which is another big part of us as a collective, I think.
And I think that it also helps us come back to what we're grateful for, and thank God that you made it through that surgery, and just such gratitude, and to have you be up and about and healthy again is just, it really is a miracle. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Thank all of you. Yeah. There are those things where it's a little bit, it's part of the healing journey. And I think that the support and the attitude and whatever your criteria is for it, like mystery is a huge part of it to me, and believing in the mystery of things, and to like the way surprises come that you just wouldn't have expected, or ways that you feel about yourself, or ways that you feel about your life journey. And, it orients you in a different way. It creates this, there's definitely a shift that's possible. So many miraculous, like miracle shifts that, can happen in regards to all of these things. Like maybe it's just, on that day, like somebody said something to me that kind of reinforced something even more deeply, that, if I didn't have this brain tumor, that might not have happened, like all of these things, these synchronicities and these blessings, that I continually refer to them as, because I am one of the people, like I said, you have a choice in how you're going to deal with how you think about something. And I could have cursed this thing, or could have really resisted it, or made it a demon, but it's like, that wasn't my way. And I feel grateful because, like you said, Melissa, there's a lot to be grateful for. I am still here to harass you guys for a while longer, and
Blessed be. Yes.
yeah, we can all
Yeah.
chant together, dance together, do ceremony together. We can create wonderful experiences and memories, and this legacy that we all get to live as women, as individuals and as a community is, we still get to muck around and do some more with that. So, to me, it's a huge, huge blessing. And the really, 100,000 thank yous aren't enough. You can't thank someone who's helped you enough. It's just not possible. It's just part of it, because it's so much bigger than you. Yeah.
I think, like Bonnie said, though, it's you being receptive to receiving it. And I do want to just push that point again. I think as women, we tend to not receive that very well. And so really embracing the divine feminine qualities of receptivity, being that well of just surrendering and letting someone else pour their love onto you, it's a very humbling and beautiful experience. So please ask for help if you need it. I'm pleased to ask for help. Yeah.
Well, I'm not shy about that. And that is for sure. And I mean, it is a lovely feeling to be vulnerable and ask and receive, because there might have been people that nobody has said no. And like, that's another thing I forgot to say. And then, I know we'll have to wrap up here shortly, is that a phrase came to me at that same time when I was getting all the filaments wrapped around me in the operating room, was ask and it is given. So that was, I really relied on that too, because I feel like that was kind of like a divine little implant, ask and it is given, which was really powerful as well, while you guys were, praying around me. Yeah, so it's
That's
pretty
all we have to do
extraordinary.
is ask and it's given.
Yes.
So I've been told and asked to
Yes.
send along. I think we make it too hard. I think that's another thing.
Yes,
We make it too hard. That's the problem.
that's simple.
That's what
Well,
we do, right?
Even on that note, we may have to have some follow-ups, because I can think of a number of stories where we could use that theme and say, remember this, remember that,
Yep.
I mean, there have been a lot of things that have happened where that's been the case, but community is it's something. One reason I felt strongly I did want to talk about this was because I feel like every woman should have a community like this. I feel like every woman needs a community where, like, what you all have said, liberation, being yourself, letting the shields come down, the opportunity to grow in the company of other women and to be received, and to be able to receive the healing gifts of being in a feminine community, that it has a spiritual quality to it, because it's not like a stitch and bitch, it's not a book club, it's not, there's another focus to our group, that does, the core is about the soul and the spirit and divinity, and living from that place. So I should clarify that, because
Gratitude,
we are
yes.
that kind of circle. Yeah, divine
Yeah,
feminine.
and Deborah Ross said that last month. We hear each other into existence. We hear each other into speech, and
Yeah.
that's such a gift for women. So we did want to talk a little bit about community and how to maybe start your own community. One place that you could go is the Divine Feminine app on your phone, and that has Deb, you know more about that. It has different resources.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, we are a member of it, so you can find us there, but it lists divine feminine groups from all over the world. It can be groups kind of like what we're talking about, but there's red tent groups, there's moon groups, there's groups where you can learn certain aspects of something that you might want to learn. There's women who do individual work, like coaching work, shamanic work, Reiki work. It's on and on and on. But there is a whole section that does specialize in women's groups. So that is a really rich resource, because there's just a ton on it. And it's as easy as just downloading the app. So Divine Feminine app is what it's called.
Yeah, we can put that in the show notes. And then, Deborah and I are doing this partly to build a community. So we'd love to see you guys on our social media pages and help become part of that community. We're talking about 2022 and what we'd like to offer for that as well. And we really do want to have that be part of what we're giving out. So, yeah. So Elia and Bonnie, anything else you want to add about community or ideas for women building their own community or anything else?
I remember the reason that I joined originally was because this just came to me as we were sitting here. The name of the original group that I joined, which may not have been the same one that you all joined, but it was about intuitive development. And I feel like for me, that is the thread that I've really followed, that I wanted to follow, which led me to this group, because I feel that intuitive development is something that, can be integrated into a lot of other aspects of my life personally, as an artist, especially. I feel like you have to be tapped into intuition to create art, and it obviously can be applied to like a lot of other situations, but I feel like to me that's like something that's particularly special about our group, that's something that continues to resurface as an interest.
Yeah, thank you. Anything for you, Elia?
The way that we circle and the presence of spirit and the presence of us as women without any burdens. I don't know if you, I mean, it's like you take your backpack off and you leave it home. That's it. That's why I said liberating, because it's like, it feels so good. It's healing. It's peaceful. Which is, yeah, I don't understand why we can be like this, or we don't feel like that at home. But it feels, we're home. We're home. It's home.
Yeah.
I love it. At the beginning, I was hesitant to be there because of the way that I was raised. Baptist, Protestant Baptist from Puerto Rico. Is not Baptist like from the south of USA. They're more open. But yes, there's a taboo, like this going into this spirituality, the dark side. It's like you don't want to tap into it, but it's like, yes, it's not dark. Actually, it's illuminating. And it removes the blindfolds. It's awakening, enlightening. So I feel that I'm home.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking at the time and realizing we haven't done our card pull yet. We better jump on that, Big Sally. So yeah, it's time for our card pull. And this month, Bonnie has a new deck for us, new deck to us. And Bon, what is it called?
It's called Modern Witch Tarot Deck by Lisa Sturley, and it's one of the Luminal 11. I don't know if anybody follows, but they're like a publishing house for different types of decks. So Luminal 11. Anyways, one of the things I love about this deck is that all of the people presented in the deck are women, even the kings. And if you know tarot, even the kings. And they're also different types of women, different sizes, shapes, colors, and, sexual orientations. So it feels really inclusive and we love it. It's based on a tradition, the traditional, Rider-Waite, but a modern interpretation for sure. Like it uses the same terminology as like a traditional deck, but so you just want me to do one? Just pull one?
Yeah, we're going to do a theme for this month. Okay. And you're our card puller. So yes, thank you.
Okay. Got the 3 of Wands. 3 of Wands.
Interesting. Okay.
Does anybody have any thoughts about the 3 of Wands?
Well, you go first because you're the card puller. And if you want to read from a book, you can, or what your intuition tells us.
I'm going to just talk about what I see on this card. So the Wands are fire, right? That's the element of fire. It's interesting how there's 2, it's divided. There's like 2 on the left and 1 on the right, and she's in the middle, but you can't really have a middle of 3, right? Which I think is interesting. She's looking out on the shore, the ocean. She's above the horizon kind of. So I feel like, to me, it feels like a card of, it doesn't feel like, tension or stress, but it's like a contemplation. you know,
Right.
like she's making a decision, she's thinking, and like maybe like before making a decision. And it's interesting how 2 of the wands are just standing up on their own without any support.
Mhm.
And one of them is being held up. And that reminds me a little bit of what we were talking about. You know,
Mm.
you need that to be held up sometimes. Like
Mm.
sometimes you can do it yourself, but sometimes you need help,
I
right?
like that. Mhm.
So I don't know that anybody here, somebody jump in with 3 of wands. Anybody?
I just see a bunch of contemplation and decision making, and it's almost like I mean, there's a lot of thresholds there too, like liminal places, like the
Yes,
sky
totally.
and the water, the earth in this water. You know, it's like there's a lot of liminal energy there of, and I feel like poised for something, you know, like I'm feeling, like you said, the choices, and also the 3, you know, is a big feminine
a
number, a
mystical
sacred
number, right?
number. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you know, yeah,
It's about
mystical number. And then
communication,
there's
right?
2,
3.
I don't know about that. I
What'd
don't
you
know
say?
about that part of it.
What was that?
She said communication. 3 is
Yeah,
about
3 is the
communication.
number
Oh.
of communication, right?
Sure, if
Yeah.
you've researched, I don't
Yeah.
know that, I don't know 3 in that way.
numerology, yeah,
Okay.
3 is the number for communication.
And
Mhm.
what are the 2? There's 2 little boats in the water.
Yeah, there's 2 boats.
Yeah, so it just feels like so much about choices, weighing ideas and deciding, you know, there's possibilities, but also things in motion out there. Like
Yeah.
those 2 boats are in motion, and they have they're going somewhere, you know, like those little guys. And I like that there's the horizon on the other side too, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and I just, to me, I am having a sense of contemplation, weighing choices, options, decisions. But like, it does feel like, I don't feel like there's a bad or a wrong one. I feel like there's just which one.
It's not like a burden. It's not like it's like a decision that's a burden. And I also feel like it's going to have a positive outcome because
Me too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book says like just what we've been saying basically. Standing solidly on earth, you've got your wands for support and you're contemplating your plans. You're working hard and getting ready for the future. It's working. You've got a solid
Yes.
strategy.
Yeah.
So all you have to do now is put it into action.
Ugh, I totally relate to that. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But it's very optimistic.
Yeah.
And I like that she's got the red on, which has
Mhm.
meaning too. Not only the
Mhm.
fire, but just that's an action color, right? And a vitality. And like you
Mhm.
said, it's, you know, the water's bright blue and the sky's yellow. It's like no
She does
clouds.
have gray hair also, so she might be a little bit in the crone phase.
Nice. Works for me.
And it's a bright, and
yeah.
it's a bright
But
future.
still not afraid to wear a short dress, so I love
Yeah.
that.
And those boots are rocking it.
I know,
man.
right?
You guys have
For
to
that,
give
for
this jacket.
sure.
It's so much
I think
fun.
we might have to make this outfit this month.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Totally.
We can
But I
rock
like that crone piece of it too, is knowing that you
Yeah.
have the time to make a good decision, not having to rush into it as well. So
Well, when you
yeah.
think of the triple goddess, right? So
Yep.
that's 3, right? So the third one is the crone phase, right? So
Love it.
yeah. Mhm.
Beautiful.
I think this
Yeah.
is good for us too, because you know, it's like we're making plans and we're
Hmm.
you know, that's what this is about, right?
Very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. So we'll put the information in the show notes for everyone so they can
Mhm.
grab their own version. I'm telling you, the deck is fun and gorgeous,
It
and
is
you will
fun.
It
definitely
is.
relate to at least one or 2. Pretty sure we saw Bonnie in there and someone, one
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
I think I'm the chariot, but just saying. I just want
That's
to be the
awesome.
chariot.
Then you be it,
Then
girl.
you are the
You
chariot.
are.
Embrace it.
Because ask and it is given, right?
Ah.
That easy. Done.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and what we
Mic
have,
drop.
Anybody else? Are we good with that? Any
Yeah.
other interpretations? We're good. Okay. And so then we have a question we want to leave everybody with, which is our soul tending self-care in action. And how are we going to tend our soul, or maybe connect with community if that is something that resonates with you, dear listener or viewer. But we could kind of maybe just go around the circle briefly to the four of us, and then we'll close for this episode. All right, well, I should probably say mine first. I'm 3 of wands, right? That's it. Boom, right there. I'm so in line with that. I have so many, my cauldron is just like bloop, bloop, bloop. There's like all of these things, but I'm also, see if you can see this. This is also my latest talisman that I've created.
A turtle.
I love the turtle.
It is slow and steady is why I made that, because as you said, Melissa, and I'm petting him as I'm like, petting. It's like, he's my guy. And it's funny, it's a him. I suppose I need that balance.
It's a him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Masculine energy.
I need to really, because now that I'm starting to feel better and I can do some things, what I'm noticing, and I have a blog post I'm working on about letting go of the person you used to be, and how the old patterns just want to come right back in when you're starting to feel good again. It's like, no, no. And a lot of that is wanting to do too much and to not honor that pace that needs to be honored, and also not wanting to get back into habits that don't support me, that are so there, they're just there and they just want to come right back in. And it's like, I did not go through all of this to not like get the booty from this, which is I don't want to return back. So turtle, 3 of wands, making choices, deciding, and, get your feet on the ground and look at all the positivity and really kind of root into that, anchor in that, come from that place. So that's what I'm thinking about.
Plant.
Yeah.
How about you, ladies? What are you doing this month towards soul tending or staying in community with women?
For the soul tending, it's the power of words, right? How you talk to yourself. How do I talk to myself? And what I stop not letting come to me, what I allow to penetrate, and the way I talk to myself. How will I talk to myself? Empowering and lovingly.
That's
Beautiful.
That's good. Well, this is a special time for me. Well, for what we're actually in Judaism, we're right in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which is the 10 days you're supposed to kind of reflect on, do some self-reflection and kind of think about, if you feel like you may have wronged someone, to try to make amends with people. And, I truly try to do that during this time. I mean, I'm sure this, you can't get to everybody, but, I try to, make it at least, and then feel like, and it's all about words, actually. That's what, the liturgy is all about. Yeah. How damaging words can be, and how can you change your words and, repair with words. There's destructive, but you can also repair with them. And then I'm also turning 50 in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And I gotta say, I'll just say it because it's kind of the theme of this, but like I wasn't sure I was going to turn 40, and that is the honest truth. So to have 50, I just can't even. I know people are like, distressed about being 50. I couldn't be happier. Age is a privilege, and I know it for sure.
Yes.
Huzzah.
Amen to that. Yes. And for me, this is Melissa. I'm doing 30 Days of Goddess, which I'm borrowing from Bridges Grove. And so daily there's a theme, and I'm pulling a goddess card, and I'm writing a little prayer to her that day. So I'm really getting down with my homies this month with my ladies. So that's been really special and powerful. And I really did need to come back. Over the summer, my practices go haywire. And so it's beautiful to be coming back into that daily filling up my well. So.
Filling up your well.
And thank you, ladies. This has been such a beautiful way for us to do that too.
Thank you.
Just so blessed to have you in community.
Feel the same way. I love you all
Yes.
so much.
Love you guys. I
See?
know.
We rock. That's it. We rock. Yeah,
Love
love
you.
your
I'll make little
bunches.
hearts.
Yeah. Mhm. So I guess we'll just finish off by opening the circle and a little benediction, and just knowing what a blessing it is to be here in this circle with each other at this time. But not only this sisterhood that the four of us belong to, and of course we're only a portion of our circle that could come today, but to all of you that are in our virtual sisterhood. No matter where you are, you're part of this virtual community, this wild magic harmony community, and we're blessed for your presence and for your energy and for your time. And we give thanks to all in spirit who joined us, for all who are helping us to communicate these messages and this energy into all of the places that it needs to be. And we release you back to your own time and space with the deepest gratitude. And we thank Gaia, Mother Earth, for the sacred opportunity to be able to live these life stories and to share them and to be with whatever comes our way with vulnerability and power and authenticity. Releasing the four directions and elements, the guardians, masters, angels, and all those that share space with us, the ancestors. Giving thanks until we meet again, and so mote it be.
Indeed. Beautiful.
And so we wish you all the power to keep tending your own sacred soul. And we do have a final call of action. And I can't remember, is this something that we speak now, or is this something that we've spoken already that we add in?
Oh, we can offer it again. It's about our 2x2 Reiki and reading combined sessions via Zoom. So if you're interested, if you resonated with our messages from Spirit today, want to dive in deeper, we give you Reiki and intuitive messages from both of us. And when we collaborate, we amplify the energy that comes through us and also heightens our intuitive receptivity. So you get 2 times the input and synergistic energy to guide you and help you regain balance in whatever ways you may need. So for more information, please go to our Facebook and Instagram pages or send us an email at you can go to my website, harmonyintegratedbodywork.com. I have the service listed there. Sorry.
Not at all. All right. Well, as I like to say, merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. Goddess is alive and magic is afoot.
Thank you, ladies. You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Until next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Love you. Blessed be.
Thank you.